All right, serious and cylinder's bodybuilding, muscle talk. We're going to be talking about updates on Ronnie Coleman, Fouad, Abiad, and the Portugal Pro after this. John Livier here, your host for Serious and Cylinder's Bodybuilding and Serious and Cylinder's Outcast. Great news. We have a brand new sponsor, Ideal Weight and Aesthetics. This place is a one stop shop for weight loss, rejuvenation, energy, and anti aging. This is a brand new startup company located at 160 Alanza Avenue, Garfield, New Jersey. Their number is 732-436-1924. You could also email them ideal@idealweightandaesthetics.com. This is basically what they do. They have a clinician look over all your blood work and they recommend what you should and should not do. They do weight loss, semaglutide and tirzepatide. They offer the NAD injections or drip, which is a brand new technology that everybody is jumping on. IV infusion, testosterone replacement therapy, and peptides, microneedling, and skin therapy. You guys know that I love to support small business. So, really, give them a call, reach out. You'll feel better, it'll make you look better, and you'll be twice the person. You won't be disappointed. Take my word for it. Ideal weight and aesthetics. It's stupid because once it's edited, it looks good, but then this
Yeah.
kind of, I figured if I put the fucking commercial after the intro, people will be forced to watch the commercial and not fast forward it right away.
But they might have ways where you can't fast forward. Like sometimes you have to watch it.
Yeah, it is what it is. I don't know. It's this place and it's basically another TRT clinic, but they do other stuff too. They do like all this crazy shit. Anti like I don't know. Pep of course they do the
Botox.
peptides, they do the
Oh, yeah.
TRT. Oh, they do the what is it? Like it's a slow drip. What's it called? Not
Glutathione,
what is it?
glutathione,
No, no, no. It's with an N O
NAD.
NED. Yeah, yeah. NAD drip. They do all these crazy things. So, um, yeah, it's in Garfield, New Jersey. I don't know. Whatever.
Good for them.
Well, yeah.
Anyway, all right. So, if anybody would know, you would know this, Jay. Ronnie has apparently an infection in his bloodstream.
Right.
I don't know. That's all we know. I don't know what would cause that. I have no idea. What do you have any idea what would cause that or anything like that? We're speculating at this point because the
So
family.
I know I know he's still struggling on a daily basis with pain, and he's constantly on different types of medications. And um, I don't know if he's undergone any surgeries recently. I know there was talks of
Yeah.
him having to have another surgery. If that's the case, anytime they open you up, dude, you know, you're in jeopardy of or risk of infection.
Uh,
Um, if that's the case. If not, it could just be a constant injury in his body that, you get a bacteria build up, and,
mm,
after a while, dude, it infects your blood and travels and could cause bad types of organ damage, and hopefully not, damage to your heart. Doesn't sound good, especially
Yeah.
we've all seen Ronnie lately, dude, and all of us love him and have the most respect for him in the world, but we know he fights every day, for, you know, anywhere he goes has got to be a struggle for him.
yeah.
So we just all want to see him well.
Yeah. Every industry has that one guy that just is always loved.
Yeah.
Like I was talking about this Monday in basketball. What's his name?
Michael Jordan.
Well, no, no, no. I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about their personality is always loved. Jesus Christ, it's Shaq.
Yeah.
Shaq is just loved. In hip hop, it's Snoop Dogg. He's just loved. Like they could do no wrong. They could, um, And in bodybuilding, it's Ronnie. Ronnie could fucking do no wrong. People just love him. You know, besides the fact that he's, you know, the greatest bodybuilder that ever lived, that's separate from his great energy and his personality that he puts out there. And people just love him. Like you never hear anybody talk shit about him or anything like that, anything bad to say. People just love him. And I think the idea that he's just so grateful and doesn't complain about the position that he's in, about his health concerns now. He just doesn't fucking
Well,
complain.
I think that's hit the nail on the head. That's it with Ronnie is you'll never hear him complain about
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
Grateful for everything he has, grateful for every accomplishment he's achieved, and deeply appreciative to all his fans. And I think it gives him life when he, enters a room or an arena and he gets the type of, applause
Yeah.
that he
Absolutely.
gets.
Yeah. Luke, he did have one regret. Do you remember what he said his one regret was?
Yeah. Then squat more reps.
Yeah. Yeah, he was squatting 800 and he said he only got two. He could have got five.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta. He's just the kind of guy that you gotta love, man. And it's just, I don't, and every industry has somebody like that. I don't know if you remember, there was a video with Shaq where those kids were playing basketball, and that police officer
Yeah,
stopped. There was they called about the noise and the kids making noise, and the police officer stopped and played ball with him.
yeah,
And Shaq saw it and contacted him, and him and Shaq went and played ball with the kids.
Yeah.
yeah.
But there's just fucking, you know, there's a lot of shitty people out there, but there's a lot of good people out there. There really are. There's a lot they just don't get credit because people focus on the shitty things, and that leads me to the. I know this is gonna. It leads me to the next topic. Um. So, I watched the bro chat with Fouad since he's been in the car accident. I'm sorry, the motorcycle accident. I'm sorry. And you know, he was in a bad way. So he's been in the hospital for 15 days as of yesterday. He had I think both lungs collapsed because he explained everything. So they had to fuse his neck, both lungs collapsed. He broke 5 ribs, 2 of the ribs in several spots. He broke his clavicle, his scapula. They had to put him on life support 3 different times because they almost lost him 3 different times. His left arm doesn't work at all. He doesn't know. They don't know what's going on with his left arm at all. Um, and you know, I just want to say this, right? Before we move on. Before we start really getting into the bro chat with Fuad. Fuad and bro chat, eh, them and RX Muscle were the reasons why I started my channel. But more so Fuad and bro chat because they literally got me through COVID when we would watch him when it was Luke, and then when it transitioned from Luke to Guy and Nick, and they were just so funny. And even my wife liked watching them, and we would watch them together, and they really got us through those rough times with COVID. Um, so I was always a fan of Fuad, and I started my channel, and after watched this last bro chat, I kind of realized why I started it when I saw him in that really bad position because he has a neck brace he has to wear, and
He's in a sea collar.
yeah, and his voice is really bad. You know, it sounds really raspy and
That's from
low.
the fusion.
What is it?
That's from the fusion. They probably had to go in similar to mine. So
Okay. Anyway, and then you know, as a podcaster, you get wrapped up in views and you get wrapped up in trying to make your show successful. And then I had that guy Mish on that was talking about Fuad and so on and so forth. And then we found out what kind of guy Mish was when he showed up at Fuad's house, and Fuad came out, and he, you know, basically the guy actually turned out to be a punk. And so I just want to say that that was a mistake. I should have never had that guy on. I got really too much into pushing my channel to be successful and thinking, oh, well, this will bring views. So that was a mistake. You know, we all have regrets. I apologize for doing that because Fuad is the guy that inspired me to start my channel. So I actually deleted the video today after I watched Bro Chat. Um, so if Fouad is watching this, I apologize for doing that, and it is deleted. And you are the guy that inspired me to do my channel. So just wanted to say that it's just a regret, and I want to take full accountability because that guy really turned out to be a piece of work. And so it's gone. It's not there anymore. Anyway, did you watch the Bro Chat, Luke?
No, I didn't see the bro chat. I what kind of bike out did it was he riding? Is it street
So
bike?
no, it was a Harley Davidson. So
Whoa,
yeah,
that
yeah,
then
they went. Ian was with him, and
Oh, really?
yeah, they all a bunch of guys had bought motorcycles, and they went riding in California. So according to him, he was leaning into a turn, and while he was leaning into a turn, his tire hit a pothole, and it threw him off the bike into this ditch, and it turned out to be a terrible accident. The one good thing was he had a full face helmet on. He didn't have a half helmet, you know, because he actually said if he had his full face helmet, the entire helmet was filled with gravel and cracks and whatnot, and that would have been his face if he had a half helmet on. And guess what? Asshole always wears a fucking half helmet when he goes riding.
You?
Guy,
Yeah.
yeah. And I do have a full face helmet, and I never fucking wear it. I just,
Well, put it on, dude.
I
yeah,
wear
really.
well, yeah, I
In
wear the
fact,
full face when I'm like if I'm driving, the gym is 5 minutes away from my house.
Right, right,
So if I'm driving to the gym, I wear the half helmet because
right.
I'm just driving through the city. But whenever I have to drive on the highway or anything, I'll put on the full face.
yeah, I gotta
John, in
stop.
fact, if you don't mind putting it on now so we could take it easy on the viewers,
Yeah,
they would appreciate the
yeah, and
full.
what's funny is my wife bought it for me for Christmas, the Christmas after I got on the bike, after I bought the bike, and it was really expensive because it's a really good helmet. I think it was like 600 or 700 bucks she spent on it, and I wore it once, and I'm like, all right. After that, I'm like, okay, if I go on any, not that I go on any long runs, but if I do, I gotta start wearing it because
That's no joke, dude.
his whole face would
Yeah.
have been fucking caved
Yeah.
in if he
No,
didn't have
would have
this.
been gone.
Yeah, yeah,
Man,
yeah. So I mean, another good thing was uh his wife flew. He was in California, so he's in a hospital in California, and his wife flew out to California the next day. His brothers, his sisters flew out to California.
uh,
Paul, his friend Paul Lazan, flew out to California the next day. Ian stayed in California for an extra week to stay with him.
Wow,
Uh,
was that
so he is really, truly a blessed man because um, my wife had brain surgery uh, in 2021 or 2022. And they still weren't letting people in the hospital, right? So you couldn't
yeah,
have
that
visitors.
time, yeah.
Right.
Oh man,
But my wife had like serious brain surgery. What was happening is she had a leak. There was a leakage coming out of her ear, and they thought it was like some kind of sinus infection. But they actually tested the liquid that was
fluid?
coming out of her
Brain
ear,
fluid.
and it was brain fluid.
Yeah.
yeah.
And so was she went for all the tests, and what was happening is there was actually a hole in her skull, and there was brain matter and water and brain liquid that was coming out from that hole and dripping. It was behind her head and dripping down into her ear, coming out of her ear. And then after we what do you call it? We scheduled we scheduled the surgery, and then what happened was after a few days, the liquid stopped, and so she called her doctor and the I guess the neurologist, and the neurologist said, no, that's not good. And he said that it's not coming out because that means more brain matter is coming through the hole and clogging it.
Oh, fuck.
So,
So let me ask you something. Did the doctor say how much brain fluid could come out, or was
no, but every time she like laid down, she would wake up and it would be like on the pillow and whatnot when
it
she would
poured
wake
out
up.
of her?
What's
I
up?
mean, how much brain fluid could you lose before it becomes a problem? You would think, right?
I don't know, but I have no
Well,
idea.
well, did I have a friend of mine,
Yeah.
and every time he leans forward, it pours out of his nose.
Oh God.
And this has been going on. He refuses to get checked out.
Oh man.
Why? I don't understand people.
Well, dude, like sometimes, hey, it's not a problem until it's a fucking problem. You know what I mean? But dude, it scares the shit out of me every time he tells me. I'm like, dude, are
Yeah.
you still leaking? He goes, every time I lean forward.
What? Why
I'm
the
like,
fuck when you figure?
I'm like, how much can you? But you have to ask yourself at what point, like,
Yeah,
how much fluid do you have to lose? Like, like
I
Yeah,
don't know, but
fucking
so
scary,
they
right?
had a cutter open here,
that stuff.
right? They had a cutter open, and I have the pictures of the scar, and they had a cutter open all here, right? And then there's so much nerves over here that they really couldn't get in, so they actually had to unhinge her jaw and go through the
Uh,
bottom.
oh,
And what they did was cut away the they cut away the brain matter that was sticking out, and they put mesh over it to stop it,
right.
and then stitch it back up, and then put her jaw back. But anyway, when that happened,
How's her head game now?
yeah, it's still terrible. Don't worry about it. That's the reason why I married her. It's awful. I was like,
We gotta find light in something.
yeah. So well, this is a few years ago. But what I'm getting at is I didn't. We only had nobody in my family came to visit when she was in home because for a couple of weeks she was home. Nobody in her family came to visit. We got like a text message. Uh, only one of her, only one of her friends brought food because she couldn't cook, and I still had to go to work every day. One of her friends came to visit and actually brought a whole thing of like, chicken cutlets and macaroni. But none of my family visited, none of her family visited. And it's like they didn't give a shit. So basically, what I'm saying is Fouad is a blessed man when he had all these people fly out from Canada to California. And Ian, who stayed an extra week, that can't be easy. I'm sure he has responsibilities and only counted on going away for that certain period of time.
Yeah,
He's a blessed man. He really is. We just hope for the best for him. That's
Man,
really
right.
it.
so that kind of accident, some people don't come back from.
Right,
He's,
right, right,
he's,
right, right.
he's,
Yeah, yeah.
he's luckier than we know.
I
Yeah.
mean, my brother-in-law lives 5 minutes away from me. I'm in Bloomfield. He's in Clifton. His wife is, you know, nothing, just nothing. Like you would think, like the old school women would be like, I'll be right there. I'll help. I'll bring food. I'll do a load of laundry in, because I still had to go to work every day. And she couldn't get out of bed. I had to help her shower. I had to put clothes on her. She had to take her medication every few hours, but nothing. It was just me and her. But you know, in Fuad's case, he's a blessed man. But just wanted to bring that up. So I think I'm gonna start wearing a full face helmet.
Right.
Oh shit. Jay, your oldest daughter, does she have any friends that might want to work at my booth? Because it is impossible
To
to
find help.
find some. Dude, it's ridiculous. I almost had this one girl until she I almost had this one girl until she figured out that she had to drive an hour away, an hour.
Dude, these are all 16 and 17-year-old girls. I doubt they're the type that want to work at but I have her boyfriend and two of his friends, working security for him. Maybe they're athletes or, they work out and they're in shape, but they're going to help me work security.
All right. Well, I know because I
But
know you
it
use your
was,
I know your daughters work for you that day, but it's
well,
impossible.
they help at the front desk of my wife, with
Yeah,
the ticket
right.
sales and all that fun stuff.
Because I had this one girl who was like, "Yeah, I'll do it," until she Googled where it was, and it's like an hour and 10 minutes away from us. And I
Right.
actually told her, "I'll pay you for the day, and I'll also pay you for uh, gas and tolls and food."
Right.
And she was like, I don't know. You know how
How,
girls are; they're never direct. I
how
don't know.
old is she?
This is late 30s.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'll ask around. Yeah, I'll ask around.
Because it's like if you really need me, I'll go. But I said, is the distance an issue? Even though I'm paying for gas? Yeah, kind of is. It's like, dude, just I can't. So I said, look, if you can't do it, I can't go on a maybe. I have to find somebody else. So
Right.
if you can't do it, just tell me you can't do it. And she was dancing around it, and then finally I said, listen, don't worry about it. I'll find somebody else. I got.
I got it. I got it.
It's
Yeah.
impossible, and it's not like I'm paying like nothing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I don't
Well,
know.
dude, I had two people twice that were supposed to work my iPrevail booth. Um, I think you were there one year, dude, and the guy didn't show up.
How do you not? How do you not? I don't understand people.
Dude, this is my company. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
running the show. I can't be there. You know what I mean? Like, I got a million different directions to go in. And you can't rely on anybody nowadays, dude. It's crazy.
I just don't understand people. Like your word means nothing. Like
Right.
your word means nothing. If
Right.
your word means nothing, you mean nothing, as far as I'm concerned. Really, really, because then you can't be trusted in any circumstance if your word means nothing, right?
It just seems like that day's over, dude.
Unbelievable.
And not only is it just over, but it's so far in the past that these generations don't even know what the fuck that means. Like they
No,
don't know what we're talking about when we have this conversation. What does it mean?
Yeah.
Like what do they mean? Yeah, of course we're there. They don't show up.
Like how are you gonna go through life shaking somebody's hand, saying I'll be there, because that translates to the bigger things. What about when you get a career or when you get a job or when you have to help family or whatever the case may be, or when you have to teach your son or daughter to be a responsible adult and you don't even know how to be a responsible adult.
they don't know. They don't even know integrity.
So,
Dude, it's something. I
That's
now,
wrong.
nowadays they
That's
don't have to because it's all on the phone.
you know
Nobody nobody until they get into the real world, and I mean the real world, where all right, dude, you're not going to be an influencer.
yeah,
right.
yeah.
You're not changing the world from your phone. You got to go and talk to people and be in a circle of people and be able to conduct and maintain a conversation and keep people's attention and sell or do whatever you're doing until they're faced with that reality. It's going to be a dark day because and that's why there's so many people with anxiety issues because I can't be around people because they never are anymore. But I'm hoping this comes to a screeching halt sooner or later.
Yeah. It's unbelievable. Two things. One, I went to the Garden State last week, and the reason why I went to the Garden State was because there's a personal trainer that was competing in Classic, and I told him I would go, right? And I walked into the gym in the morning, and I was like, "Oh fuck, I totally forgot." So I made sure I was there at night, and that was the only. Now he works at the gym, and I was the only person from that gym that went. And I'm like, "Yeah, that's kind of pretty shitty, right?" I mean,
Yeah.
that's kind of pretty shitty. He only had one other person there with him, and so I made sure I went. The other thing is, I don't know, Luke, if you ever saw this, but there's a show about this accountant that tries to help people with their finances. And of course, the host is very like over the top, but the lack of accountability with these people and how much they spend and how much money that the excuses and the lack of accountability just blows me away. It absolutely blows me away. It's unfucking believable, And he'll be like he'll crunch the numbers right there in front of him. I'll be like, you're 100 and something thousand in debt, and they're like, no, that can't be right. He goes, I just did it, and then he'll show what their one girl was spending $250 a week on Dunkin' Donuts.
What?
Yeah, because I forgot the name of it. I'll get the name of it. And because she would buy donuts and coffee for not only herself but everybody, even though she didn't have the money, she would just put it on a charge card, right?
Yeah.
And it was just like Jesus Christ, man, holy shit, you know?
250 a week on Dunkin' Donuts?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
man.
and it's insane, and you know, you got to see the wives that are married to these guys that don't work, that just stay home and fucking play video games. And of
Wait,
course,
the guys don't work or the wives don't work.
the wives work, the husband doesn't work, they just stay home and play video games.
That's the new generation. I
And
tell you. That,
but
that's
but
Luke,
the
look,
what are
new
we doing wrong?
generation. I'm telling
uh,
you.
Luke, where did we go wrong?
The women go out and do the jobs, and the boyfriends and the husbands are home working. That's like I don't even understand that. I can't sit down
Yeah,
for a few seconds. I would
yeah,
feel useless if
yeah,
I'm not doing anything. I have to
right,
be doing something.
when when I have slow days, and it's summertime, Fourth of July week, dude, it's a slow week, you know, and most people are closed on Friday, so my business, it's going to be a slow week, just I don't know what the fuck to do with myself. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, so I'm doing this and I'm doing this and I have stuff for the show I got to get ready for and I'm prepping for other stuff for after, but you have a little bit of downtime, you know. And
Yeah.
dude, my wife works also. You know, she has a full-time job and she
Right.
also helps me. And I remember after, you know, our first daughter was born, you know, she went through some postpartum and she took off work for a little while. Dude, sitting home was the worst fucking thing for her. She couldn't wait to
Yeah.
get back to fucking work.
Yeah.
And you know, so anybody, I don't know who could possibly just sit still.
Yeah.
You know, it's depressing.
I
It's
said that.
fucking
I tell people
depressing.
that. I tell people that. I don't know how they deserve an award because the hardest thing to do is nothing, and there are
Yeah.
people that are actually good at that, and they deserve an award because I don't know how you can do nothing all
Yeah.
day,
All fucking day
every
long.
day,
And the thing is, it's like, but in my head, I'm going, why did you marry him? You had to
Right.
know he was a loser. Why the fuck did you marry him? I don't
That's the
fucking,
new door, John. That's
holy
the new
shit.
door.
It really is. Like, I
That's
can't
the new
believe it.
door.
It just it absolutely blows me away. And then I forgot the name of the fucking show. I gotta find it and I'll send it. I'll send you guys some clips because it blows me away. And there'll be a guy that went, yeah, I have a job. I work like 20 hours a week, and they're like, what do you do with the rest of your time? Watch movies? And I'm like, holy
Wow.
shit, dude.
So I remember one year it was after I turned pro and Lee and a bunch of guys were out training in California and Lee had a sponsor from this guy that I knew, Ed Connors, who was, you know, he sponsored all the top pros and he was one of the original owners of Gold's Gym and he owned a bunch of the franchises and he was a huge supporter, you know, for bodybuilding, you know. And he made me an offer. He's like, dude, why don't you come out here? At the time, it was Flex Wheeler and Chris and Lee and
Yeah.
these guys. And dude, I always worked. Like, I always fucking worked. I had two or three jobs, plus I was doing shit on the side. You know, like I liked money coming in, you know,
Right.
and I was training my ass off, you know, prepping for shows. And dude, if you just took a year and did nothing but train and just focused on bodybuilding, imagine what you could do. So it was enticing. So I'm like, oh, dude, I'll give it a shot, dude. I lasted fucking 10 days. How the fuck do
Oh
you guys do it?
shit.
Like, and no offense to these guys because they got their contract money and sponsorship money, and I had that also. But oh, there he is. Speaking of the
Yeah.
devil.
Holy
But
shit.
dude, I couldn't fucking do it.
Yeah.
I
Nah,
just I just couldn't do it.
I
To
don't
this
fucking.
day, to this day, I would never.
Whoa!
What's up, Lee?
Yo,
Speak of the devil, and he appears.
how you feeling, man? How's the back feeling?
I'm on my way to the massage guy now, so
Is he gonna do the front?
Yeah.
you know that's an extra $20, but you know,
Sometimes it's
20
worth
bucks,
it.
20 bucks is 20 bucks.
Right.
So you got to do what you got to do to make a living, dude. That is what it is.
Yeah.
Oh
Exactly.
shit. Lee, have you heard anything more about Ronnie Coleman, or you just know that he has a blood infection?
Well, this is where I don't like to start rumors because I heard blood infection too, but then supposedly somebody told me it was a bit more serious than that, so it was more to do with the heart. So
Oh man,
who knows whether the blood infection affected the heart or not? But when I said, "Oh, he had a blood," they were like, "No, bullshit. He had a slight heart attack." Now that could just be rumors. So I don't want to start rumors, but
right.
that's what somebody else said. So it seems weird to get an infection. Well, unless you're getting injections, it's hard to get infections, isn't it? Unless poor
Well,
circulation or something.
we were just talking about that. I had heard. I don't know if it's true that he was supposed to get another surgery.
Uh-huh.
So if they opened him up, there's always a chance for infection coming
Oh
after
yeah.
that.
I
Or
wonder because or the hardware in him wouldn't get infected. So this is why, like, I understand, people like their privacy, but if you're going to put something out there, like, well, I'm an open book, I'm probably different, but
Yeah.
to me, it's like if I got a problem going on, I'm going to tell people. I'm not going to speculate, say, look, Lee's really sick, blah blah blah. I would say, no, this is what I got, this is what happened, because you're a public figure, happens to all of us, and you got lots of fans that love you and that, like Fouad and that in the beginning, they kept it on the down low. But I'd say, look, this is what happened. Come off his bike, broke his neck, blah blah blah. So I can see they want to keep some things private, but if you just be open, it stops all the speculation, stops rumors, stop people talking. Just say this is what it is, and he's working to fix it. So
Yeah, right. Well, Ronnie is just one of those guys that is just loved, man. Everybody loves him. And so we just wish the best for him. And
I think he just did this to get out of that seminar with me and him in Europe. That's what it was. See,
it is not
Fucking
one.
clever. Clever.
he's never got over to retirement where I almost put him into retirement. He's like, "What? I got to do a seminar with Lee? Fuck this! I'm going to the hospital."
Yeah, that's right. Where in Europe you got to go?
Amsterdam's where I'm first going because he was meant to be in England now doing a tour, and then I meet him in Europe. We're at the same booth. We're meant to be at the same booth in Amsterdam for 2 days at the expo. Then we're doing a seminar together. Then we're flying back to Glasgow together. Then he had an appearance to do somewhere there, and I start my tour in Glasgow and Ireland and that again. So Ronnie would do anything to get out of being on stage with me, won't he? Fuck.
I can't. I think the majority of people can't imagine that that's how you make a living. Like you're basically being paid to travel the world and speak to people
Well,
about.
dude, it's got to be really rough for him to travel.
Him, yeah.
Would be, yeah.
And I know he has like an entourage of people that take care of him, and you know.
And people go, oh, he goes first class. I'm like, that. Look, I've just got a shitty sciatic that I've had since December, and that fucking gives me the shit. So I couldn't imagine being Ronnie with all his hardware and back operations, and even in business class, yes, you can lay down, but it still ain't fucking comfortable traveling for 33 plus hours on a fucking plane, even with a fucking bad sciatica. So I could imagine what Ronnie would go through with the fucking operations he's had.
Yeah.
Fuck.
But I was speaking about you, Lee. Like that's got to be phenomenal that you actually get paid to go and travel and get paid to speak to people and about bodybuilding. I mean, that's really a blessing, especially
the blessing is that I get paid to speak to people, but then when I get there, I'm like I walk out and there might be 400 sold out. I'm like, you dumb cunts! You actually going to pay to listen to me talk fucking shit? That's what I find amazing.
Well, how about this? How about we trade lives? I'll do what you do, and you shovel shit in the sewer in Harlem. How about that?
You know, hold on. You know what it is, Lee? Is you laugh at it, right? Because you take for granted what our generation. Not to get on that generational thing again.
Nope.
But nowadays, the influencers, they don't give anybody information. None of them have real stories.
Bro, you
totally treat. It's such a treat to hear you talk or Ronnie talk. They're not going to get that shit anywhere else, dude.
Yeah. Influencers are all about themselves too. It's just like me, and getting views and getting likes. They don't give a fuck about trying to really help people or tell people stories or fucking anything else. It's just what they can get for themselves. And you can see that in a lot of them. They don't give a fuck about fans and followers as long as they got followers, but they couldn't give a fuck about them, you know?
Yeah.
It's 100%. And the information, if you think that the poor information doesn't seep down into these younger kids and the guys in the gym that are working out, you are sadly mistaken. Because you can go, a gym like you go to, Luke, is still like real hardcore and serious. But you can go to any gym. I mean, Retro, LA Fitness, Crunch, any one of those goddamn gyms. Even Strong and Shapely and Signature. I'm not excluding them whatsoever, even though there are people that know it. And they don't know the basics. They forget about spotting. Nobody knows how to spot anymore. It's like a lost art. Nobody knows how to spot anymore. But
Sure they do. Look out.
Yeah.
You all right?
But I was done with my workout yesterday and I went to get a shake, and there's a trainer at LA Fitness. He's a personal trainer, and he was talking to the girls behind the counter that were making a shake. And I hear that I'm walking up and I hear the girls go, "Oh, why would you do that?" And they look at me and they go, "Would you put a raw egg in your protein shake?" And I was like, "No, why would you put a raw egg in your protein shake?" And I looked at him and he goes, "For protein." I was like, "But it's a protein shake. You already have a scoop." "No, I don't put any whey protein." I said, "You put a raw egg?" And he goes, "Yeah." I was like, "So you just don't care about salmonella poisoning?" And I was like, "How much protein do you think you get out of that? That's like 6 or 7 grams of protein. What's the fucking point of doing that?" And he's like, he goes, oh, it doesn't necessarily have to be a protein shake. I said, oh, so now we're changing. Now I was like, now we're changing the goalpost. The
It's
first
eggnog. It's eggnog.
yeah. So I was like, so now we're changing the goalpost. You said protein shake, and now it is a fucking fruit cup, is what you're doing, right?
It's milk. It's milk with an egg in it, John.
Yeah, yeah. And it just, but the thing is, this guy is a trainer. He trains people, and I'm like, my God, how do you fucking not? And I said, well, what do you put the egg in there for if it's not a protein shake? He goes for protein. So I'm like, sweet Jesus. I was like, just put 2 scoops of fucking whey in it. And he just wouldn't fucking, and I was like, bro, this is, and I actually said to him, I was like, this is the problem with the younger generation. You guys don't want to learn from people who actually know. Not if you guys notice when Jay goes on about peptides, anabolics, growth hormone, whatever, we have a question like that, I shut down. I let him talk about it because he knows 10 times what I know, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, okay? Matter of fact, to me, I think that's the intelligent thing to do, right? But these guys, these kids, they will just battle you, but with nonsense, nothing, things that don't make any sense. And I looked at him, I was like, bro, you're never gonna learn if you think you know everything. He's like, I don't think I know everything. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what to tell you here, guy. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know.
John,
Yeah.
John, it comes down to if I took what you were taking or if I took what they were taking on the Olympia stage, I could look like them, but I don't want to do that to my body.
Right. That's what it is.
But I could look like that if I took what they took, but I don't want to do that. So
yeah, nothing else fucking matters. It's unbelievable.
Nothing else. That's all it is.
Bro. And this guy is a personal trainer. I'm like, what are you telling your clients? Wow. It just fucking baffled me. And I was just like,
and eggs are still expensive, aren't they? What are you putting eggs in there for?
No, actually they dropped tremendously.
Oh,
according to my wife. I don't do the food shopping.
Well, the bird flu is gone. So
is that what it is? So
till next time.
Until next time.
Let's make a transition. Portugal Pro is
before I got to ask the question. Has anyone ever flown Air Asia? Because I'm going Air Asia from Sydney to Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur. I go Air Asia. Then from Kuala Lumpur to Istanbul, I go Turkish Airlines. From Istanbul to Amsterdam, Turkish Airlines. And Giles, who set it up, I said, Turkish Airlines, never really heard of them. Are they any good? He's like, Ronnie says the food's great. So I Google it. They reckon they got the best food. Almost looks like a buffet on the plane. He goes, see, the food's good. I said, I don't give a fuck if the food's good. It can be as great. I don't care if I'm eating good food. It's when I crash into the fucking ground. I don't give a fuck about the food. So I want to know if the plane stays in the sky, not the food, not the menu.
I have no idea, bro. I mean, the most exotic plane I've ever been on was JetBlue. Like,
leather seats.
Didn't one of those Turkish Airlines go down like a year or two ago?
No, that was India, wasn't it? Shut up.
Every once in a while. Shit.
I just know if it goes down, Jay, I'm going to come and haunt you.
Thank you.
You'd be a terrible ghost, Lee. You'd be an awful ghost.
You'd be shit would be flying off your shelves. You'd be getting fucking hit in the back of the head. What the fuck's that? doing squats, someone kicks you in the back of the knee, you'll be fucking Lee's around.
So the Portugal Pro this weekend. Do we think that Nexilla could beat Nathan D'Asha?
No.
I don't know. It's tough.
I know it's tough. Because
I like Maxilla, dude. He's
came off of a win.
Go ahead, Luke.
He just came off of a win, so I don't even think he's gonna. He cares how he comes in on this one. So.
Oh, you think it's gonna go in that direction?
Yeah.
Well,
came off of like
that's the case.
I could rephrase that and go, if he comes in a bit tighter, like he looked good at the last show he just won. If he comes in a little crisper, and then after Nathan maybe complain and saying he got ripped off, he should have been first or second, that might go against him. So he could, if they play politics, he might not win.
Right
Nathan.
about that. Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. See, I'm hoping that Nexilla goes into the opposite direction of what Luke was saying. I'm hoping that he comes in a little bit tighter in this show, because if he comes in a little tighter in this show, then he's going to give Nathan a run for his money, and he might be able to pull off a victory against Nathan.
So I could go with that, dude. I think if Rubio, right? Rubio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so used to calling him Megzilla. Dude, if he fine tunes it a little bit, because he's such a sight, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he
Yeah,
could
it's a
just,
freak factor.
yeah, and they would want him at the Olympia. You know, he could, he could get the nod just for his presence, you know, and that could give him a little bit of an edge. It's possible.
Yeah, I think it's possible too. But Luke brought up a really good point because
Because I want to see him prove me wrong.
Yeah.
That would be great to see. But I'm thinking he's done a couple of shows, more shows than he would want to do, and like this condition thing is new to him.
yeah,
I'm sure, like, to get him to in that conditioning, he had to suffer
right.
more than he's ever suffered before, and that's no fun if it's new to you. And I'm sure he's like, I already won, and I'm not.
Yeah, no,
I'm
you
not
know,
doing that anymore.
it's a really good
It's real
possibility,
easy to
Luke,
say
because
that.
his credibility is starting. You know, let's not forget what he did last year and the year before, pulling out of all those shows. He's
Yeah.
putting together his credibility now, but there might be a possibility that he's like, I already made it to the Olympia, so I'm just gonna coast in this one. And look, I've had my problems with Nathan Diaz. I have my beefs with Nathan Diaz. You can't coast to Nathan Diaz. Okay, the guy's won 12 shows. He's won 12 professional shows. He is a fucking top bodybuilder, and you know he's coming to take it. You know he's coming to win this show.
But if he qualifies, can he, as he sorted out all that shit, can he actually get in and do the Olympia if he does win it?
Oh, Nathan?
Yeah.
No, definitely not. No.
Really?
So that's a bit disheartening if you qualify and you can't
Yeah,
get
but
to
this
it.
is what it's been for the last few years, though. It's not.
I thought he just couldn't get into other countries. I didn't know U.S. was an issue.
No, U.S. is an issue because in the U.K., if you have an arrest record in the U.K., which he does, actually, I think he was arrested 3 different times.
Well, you say that as if it's bad.
No, yeah, the United States won't let you in on a visa or anything like that if you have an arrest record in the UK. You know,
Even if it's not
because one was a drug charge, it was selling steroids.
Yeah.
Another one was inciting violence, and the other one was keeping the gym open during COVID.
So the violence one might be the one that hurts them the most because
Australia's the same too. I got friends in the UK that have been to jail and that and can't get into Australia, but yet we were built on fucking criminals from England. But yet, if you're a criminal, you can't come here now. We're selective now.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's right.
The violence and the drugs. You got a drug charge. I don't know. The U.S. is not going to let you win.
I'm not saying it's right. If you do your time and you've paid your price, I think everybody deserves a second chance. But it is what it is. Now the problem is he just doesn't want to admit it. He just keeps.
He's gonna have to know. Hopefully, he can know somebody that knows somebody to get him in. Because that's.
I just know the aggravated assault charges, any type of violence or domestic issues.
Oh yeah,
makes it tougher. I thought drug charges, unless you're some big fucking cartel type guy, I thought those were looked over a little more often than a domestic charge.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know how it works.
I got a number he can call: 1-800-Coyote.
Oh, yeah, not anymore.
No, you can still get around. There's still areas you can probably get across.
Probably charge a
little
lot
bit of
more
cardio, walking through the desert are doing good.
Yeah, the coyote guys, they're like that scene from Scarface. When he says to him, it's no picnic anymore. You got the fucking choppers and the CB2s coming around now. Forget about 13.5 a key. That's not happening.
Can he swim? Can he swim the Rio Grande? You might have to swim.
Yeah, it's just crazy, man. I know. Because that was the joke I made when he first said he couldn't get to the U.S. and when Biden was office, I said, "Come to the fucking south border of Mexico, man.
Yeah,
don't you watch the news?" Yeah, the thing is, he just doesn't admit it, but that doesn't take away how great of a bodybuilder he is. I will never, take away his props for bodybuilding. I mean, 12 fucking professional wins that's a Hall of Fame bodybuilder right there. And you can't take him lightly. So if Rubiel thinks he's gonna just breeze through this one, he's sadly mistaken.
Well, I do like what he's doing.
Who else?
I do. Again.
No, you're right. I just got a bit of delay here. You're right. You go ahead.
So I do like what he's doing with showing up and looking better week to week. And I hope he even dials it in. And that's the thing about, if you want to make your mark as a top pro, is these guys that waste, one competition a year and they don't dial it in right. And then they can't handle the dieting for another 2 or 3 weeks. So, you know what? I'll just do it again next year. But what if you don't peak right next year either? You miss a
Right.
qualification. Like, you got to learn how to peak. If you don't learn how to put those finishing touches in, doesn't matter how much time you take off. It's not the off season and it's not the prep that's the problem. It's the finishing touches. So as a top, if you want to be a top pro athlete, if you can't master those finishing touches, and that's all 11th hour shit. That's all stuff that you got to learn last minute, going with the flow, overcoming, bumps in the road. That's what's going to give you longevity and give you a more dominant run in the pro ranks, is learning how to peak.
Yeah, and the idea that he's continuing to do shows is, a huge green flag. But we'll see. We shall see. Let's not forget what happened last year and the year before. But he does seem to be restoring his credibility. But we still got this show, and then we have the Olympia. So let's not start sucking each other's dicks just yet when it comes to Nexella. Put it that way.
I want to know. Somebody was asking me a question about why the MPC and IFBB took away the sanction from Lee Haney.
Really?
For Lee Haney's show, it's not NPC sanctioned anymore, IFBB.
But did they take it, or he chose to go another route?
I don't know. I just heard him say they're not sanctioning this one, so I'm not sure whether he's
Oh,
born
so
or they're just not.
I heard his show was not going to be an NPC or IFBB show, but I don't know if it was taken or if he chose just to go another route.
Yeah.
That's weird. Why? I mean, he's a legend. Why would he do that?
Well, he's been a little outspoken lately against some of the new rules, or
I agree with his last one. His last one, I agree with how the Olympia should be back on 1 day judging, have the judging. I think even Bob and Sean mentioned it, where back in the day you had pre-judging around lunchtime. You still look good in the morning and your finals were at 7 at night. Doing it how they do it now, leaving the pros on. What was the last time they went on stage 11 p.m.? And to me, it's like the Olympia's on 1 day. You got to hit it right that day. I hate when someone comes in on Friday pre-judging. He's a bit off. That's okay. He's got 24 hours to look better. Then you have a guy who maybe could win on Friday. He fucks up and does something wrong and his body smooths out. Then the next day he drops down places. So the Olympics should be on 1 day. Look, team sports, like cricket, they can go over a series or other things, but boxing, do they go 12 rounds and go, listen, guys, 6 rounds today, then you can go home, refresh, come back,
Yeah. Yeah, but that Lee
no
Haney,
other sport.
I would like to believe that Lee Haney decided not to be involved with the NPC.
I don't know why.
IFBB.
No one's really said. I just heard it's not being sanctioned, and it's weird because his show has always been with the NPC IFBB. So
yeah, I don't know. Listen, I didn't agree with what he said. I clearly made that clear. But he's still Lee Haney, and people have said a lot worse stuff. And if it was the people from the IFBB and an NPC that pulled it, that wouldn't sanction it. One, either it's there's just really bad animosity, or two, there's something more to this.
I don't know if they pulled it.
Yeah, I would like to believe he decided.
Yeah, I don't know if they pulled, and it is possible. But I don't know. He just might be looking to go.
Yeah.
People have taken on the IFBB and the NPC for years. They've all failed miserably. Nobody. Nobody. It's like the NFL and the XFL and all the other leagues.
Right.
It's just the NFL, dude. It's like the.
Do you think they fail? I find a lot of them failed was because, especially here in Australia, even the IFBB would put that many things against you. Like I remember when I was suspended, even they wouldn't let me watch a show. Even I had friends competing, but even when I was an IFBB athlete, I was told if I went to watch an ABBA show, I'd be suspended. So it's like if the IFBB said, listen, you can go compete where you want and you can come back to us and compete, we won't hold it against you, I think other places would grow and be just as good. But because they be like, if you go anywhere else, but they'd send spies out to go watch shows to see if IFBB athletes are at another show watching it, and then they'd get suspended. I'm like, how fucking dumb is that?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But the other guys on the list, I have no clue who they are. No fucking idea. I really don't have no idea. I sent you guys the list. Lee, I did not send you the list because I didn't.
That's okay. Fuck the list. I don't get interested. Fuck them. If I don't know their name, they're no good. And someone got mad at me online because I posted that, because they're saying to qualify for Olympia, I said, look, go back to a point system, or it's like I said, even if you win a pro show, doesn't mean you should get on the Olympia stage. To me, the Olympia is the best of the best, the top, like the top, not 1%, but you're almost up there. So you might win a show like this one coming up and might be no one in it. So you're just the best of a shit bunch of guys, and now you're going to stand on the Olympia stage? No, you're not going to stand on the Olympia stage. Or a lot of these pro qualifiers, yes, you can get a pro card, but if you're not good enough, judges know what pro caliber is. And if the judges look up and go, yes, you won the overall, but you're not ready to be pro, you don't get a pro card. Come back next year. If you've improved and you're better, you can still win. We'll give you the pro card. So I think they're just watering it down, giving out. Well, what's that show coming up this weekend? They're giving out 87 pro cards.
Yeah, Team Universe.
There you go.
It's always see, I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with
there's all those girl divisions and
I don't have
they make it sounds worse than it. You know what I mean? It sounds worse just because there's so many. There's fit model and probably 10 pros out of that, and bikini and wellness, and so it's all those divisions.
I agree that there are too many pro cards, but I don't agree that it waters it down, only because the cream always rises to the top. The best guys are always going to be the best guys.
Period. I know, but you got these people believing they're pro and they should be on the Olympia stage when they shouldn't be. They shouldn't have got the pro card to begin with.
If they have to win a pro show in order to be on the Olympia stage, and it doesn't. If you have a pro card, and you are gonna, it's like welcome to the NFL rookie, because when you go on that pro stage and you battle it out, it is a fucking awakening. Like, oh, I just got my ass handed to me, and I'm going home. So to me, the cream always rises. The best guys are always going to rise to the top.
But here's where I think if you want to use the term waters it down, what I think it does is it destroys the top national shows, right? Because now, these guys that are getting pro cards placing second, in all the classes, when it used to just be only the overall to North American, only the overall to USA got it, and then there was two guys, and it was each class, and it was two per class. So what that does is you have some of these amateurs that don't get known, because you don't spend time being a top amateur. Lee, you remember the phrase you had to pay your dues to win a national show.
Yeah.
Whose turn was it next? And sometimes, all right, dude, like when Tom Prince won, or, Jay was a phenomenon because he got it, I think, on his first nationals, but he didn't even win the overall. But you had like Chris and Flex and
Melvin. Had all of them, yeah.
Yeah, dude, it took them time and time again to get their pro card, where nowadays they would have been pro when they weren't ready to be a pro. And then it just it weakens the national level shows, and it puts too many people in the pro ranks that because
that's the thing.
It's just it's not going to change. There's too much money involved.
And that's the thing. Back then, when someone did get their pro card, Kevin, after he got his pro card, I think he got runner up at the first Olympia he did. So pretty much when you got your pro, you're ready to turn pro. And that's why I see so many of these guys now get a pro card. And if they go on RX and Dave's interview, and I'm looking at him thinking, you look like an amateur. And Dave says, when's your pro show? Oh, I'm going to take 2 or 3 years off to put size on. So you weren't ready to be pro if you're going to take 2 or 3 years off to put size on. Come on.
That's what I mean. That's exactly what I mean, is that those guys are not going to rise to the top, right? It's just
now there's that new rule that if you don't do it in 3 years, dude, you lose it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Hopefully that helps. That might help.
Yeah. It's just there's too much money involved in the sport now. It is bigger and grander than ever before. It's not going to change. I don't see the amount of pro cards given out making the top guys weaker as far as talent. This is a tremendous talented period of bodybuilding. So it really doesn't bother me too much. I agree that they give too many out. I mean, I get it. I fully get it. But it doesn't look like it's affecting the sport much. You're gonna if you are a, okay, if you come in second or in the nationals and in a bantamweight, and they give you a pro card, you're not gonna crack the top 15 in any show. You know what I mean? So it's just to me it doesn't matter, and there's just too much money involved. They're not gonna give it up. They're not the NPC and the IFBB is not gonna change. Because it's just way too much money involved, and that's the truth.
Well, I gotta run and go get my massage. It was great talk. I just saw a guy walking his dinner. That's very strange to see.
Walking his dinner. All right.
Yeah, the Chinese guy had 2 dogs. He's just walking them along the road. Keeps the meat fresh, keeps it tender.
All right.
Poor dogs.
All right. On that note, you know what? We're gonna kill it here because we covered all topics. All right, gentlemen. I appreciate it, fellas. Thank you. And Lee, thank you very much, man. I hope your back feels better, brother.
I'll be back next week. I'll be back next week before I fly away on this airline that Jay says he's not going to get me there.
See you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.